when we get into, I know we talked through a little bit about creative, but specifically when we're working with clients, like typically who's creating these types of different ads, Sean?
Yeah. So the answer is yes. Anyone can create them. Right? So we have a whole creative team that can help with this. They're very quick and are definitely able to create this. We can also work with your creative team, whether in-house or external or contractor. We're happy to provide all the specs and information for that. Just talking about creative, so one of the technologies that we do like to implement with the banner ads, because we see a higher click-through rate, is using a technology called HTML5, which is HTML. It's just the current version of HTML that allows us to not just show a static image, but to animate that image a little bit. So it's a little bit better technology than like GIF or a GIF type format, which we can also utilize. It's a bit more efficient because it's HTML. And so it draws the eye because it has the motion to it. And you can also think of it like almost like a slide. We've had clients, start with one color and message and image and then flip to another that kind of progresses it. So again, the motion helps draw the eye, but also can layer on messaging that you want to try and fit into a banner ad. So yeah, that's the answer. We can do both. We can also take the creative that the client creates that's a static version in one size, and then our creative team can then expand it into all the different sizes that we need. We usually run a 7 sizes that just maximizes the placement and inventory that we have available. And then we can animate that and put it in the HTML5 format.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think you knocked out the next 2 questions, which is
crap.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Maybe just expand a little bit on, and you kind of talk through the different sets of ads, the different sizes. So there's 7 of those, but then are there any like best practices when, someone's designing them or when we're designing them? Like what are some things that you typically say to clients at first about creative?
So first thing, keep it simple. This is think of it as a billboard when someone's driving by, right? Okay. What are they going to notice? What are they going to see? And that could simply just be a brand. It could be an image, and maybe a headline. Usually the subtext, not quite as much, but it can help. It can help with the click through, right? You usually do want to have some kind of reason for them to click. So some kind of offer of, read the full study or, watch the video or whatever that is that you want to, learn more can work as well. It's just not as compelling, perhaps, as something more succinct, like a study or a testimonial or something like that. But keep it simple. I think that's probably one of the biggest keys. We talked about formats, and I think in your next one, the place to start. So usually what our creative team uses if we're starting from scratch is a landing page. So that's the other thing to think about on the creative side. So obviously you need the ad creative to run out there, but then you also really need to think about where you're sending them. What do you want them to do and understand and learn if they are interested, right? So thinking through that landing page, a lot of times it is unique, or a landing page that's not available on your normal, navigation on your website. It's something specific to this audience, or to a pain point that audience that you're hitting on. So really thinking through that landing page. It's another thing we can help with if a client does need help creating a separate landing page, we can help with that. But that's usually where we start when we're creating ads, is that landing page, and then adapting multiple kind of creative versions that would entice people to read more of that content on the page.
Yep. And creative's super important, as we know. And I think the thing you mentioned too, which is pretty critical, since these are digital campaigns running different creative tests, right? A/B tests, different messaging, which again is one reason I love working in the digital space, is because we can do these things and typically they're cost effective, right? So we can definitely create different versions. What's a small like key marketing message that we change. And I think typically, Sean, when we go into recommending A/B testing, like they're not completely different ads, right? Because what happens is you can't really tell what's, what change you made. Yeah, exactly. So something to consider too when you're doing some A/B testing.
And also when you're looking at A/B testing, there's a couple of different ways you can run it. So I usually recommend that you run more than one message. One message again and again and again becomes kind of, it's just not as impactful if you can at least change the message here and there a little bit. And that's not really true A/B testing, right? So if you wanted to do a true A/B test, you would segment your audience and you would say, this audience only gets this ad. This audience only gets this ad. And then you're assessing what that response is. So if you're doing that, you have to consider perhaps your budget, because again, maybe one version in both of those is like one for each is maybe not enough. You may need 4 different creatives, so you can still change it up so that it's not, kind of repeated again and again to the same audience, but then you're able to assess. So there's different strategies that you can employ to figure out if you're trying to test messages, if it's a true A/B test, or if it's just rotating that message. Because usually what we're seeing is the answer is yes, like people are interested in, it's usually a pretty minor difference between them, but incrementally over time you could get better and better.